Hi guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another video. Now this is just going to be another one where we look back at a few kits I built. These are probably a little bit more recent than the ones we've been looking at in the past, you know. The majority of kits I built were from me teens, early 20s, and then I had a big hiatus when I got into real cars, and then I think these are from 2014 if I remember correctly. And to be quite honest, before I started the channel, these were probably some of the latest kits I built. I dabbled with a few customs a few years later, and then I gave it up again for a good 3 or 4 years before starting the channel, or giving up building anyway. I was always buying bits and pieces, but you know, I certainly wasn't building much within them sort of 10-15 years. But yeah, we'll be looking at this video cover for the last minute or so. But yeah, this is probably one of my favourite movies of all time. It's probably the most influential into my taste in cars. I mean, this really got me into late 60s, early 70s base models, where you know we're constantly getting rammed down our throats, the Mach 1s and all the top of the line muscle cars and what have you, where you know this has got what really got my interest into 4-doors and more obscure cars which you could never find in scale. And probably for me, is the greatest car chase movie of all time. And when there's these lists, you see this barely gets a mention. And to be quite honest, I don't know why. It's the car chase in this is 41 minutes long, and it's just non-stop action all the way through, so to speak. And you know, real footage of him driving on the highways and what have you. A lot of unplanned crashes and what have you, and absolutely great movie, to be quite honest with you. For the car aspect of it, the acting was absolutely terrible, but it was a 70s film, so you couldn't really expect much more from it. But yeah, I mean, like I say, this is really what swayed me from the sort of 50s cars which I was interested at the time, and certainly into base model cars. I mean, the Eleanor Mustang was a 71, dressed up as a 73, but it was still just a sport roof, not the Mach 1 or anything like that. So, and for me, I really like the wheels on it. I like the softer look of the hood and what have you. But yeah, I mean, like I say, about 10 years ago, like I say, it was 2014, I started building these. And I just wanted to experiment with doing damage on a model car without just really using the kit plastic and what have you. And I had a really old, it was the original Palmer 71 Mustang, so probably the least accurate scale, sort of 1/25th scale Mustang you could have started with. But the reason why I did this is because I use this one is because I haven't done damage to a vehicle like a model car before, and I didn't want to ruin an AMC kit, which was pretty much what was available at the time. I thought I'd just use this as a bit of a test, really, to see what you could do with kit plastic. You know, the Palmer, which it turned into the Lindbergh re-released it in the 80s, late or maybe early 90s or something like that, with a few other from the line, the 72 Challenger they bought out as well, which was from Palmer as well, and the Corvette, that was another old Palmer kit. But yeah, like I say, I just didn't want to ruin a nice kit, and I didn't know how this was going to turn out. But to be quite honest, it almost looks like it's got a bit of a chopped roof on these kits. But to be quite honest, it turned out a lot better than I thought for my first attempt. You know, and I did really try, and I watched the movie, and I paused it. Like I say, I was using that original VHS. They did re-release it again, but they completely ruined it by taking the original soundtrack out. I think once they took the original soundtrack and started putting in their own sort of ideas of engine noises and stuff like that, it just completely killed the movie for me. So that remastered version was a complete flop. I just wished, but I'm assuming it's to do with copyright for the soundtrack from the chap who did that full soundtrack for the movie. But they were great songs as well for me. You know, I think Big Town City was, you know, I still love that song today. I think it was a great song. And he did a lot more, like some really, really good songs in that movie. I always like that Chariot Ride and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the model, you know, like I said, this was the first attempt, and to be quite honest, I'd choose it. Like I say, I was pausing the movie and trying to get the damage as close as I could. But I think with it being I think it was just a slightly smaller scale than 1/25th, and the proportions of the kit weren't right. I was struggling with getting the dents with some of the proportions which were on there, and the wing was always going to be, I think this is when people do this is where people struggle, and I did struggle myself getting that right. I think I'd do a bit of a better job nowadays, but you know, even the flat hood, somebody asked me in the comments, I remember I was at work and I saw the comment come up, and I just couldn't remember what video he commented on. And so if I haven't replied to that comment, I try and reply to all my comments, and I will try and find that one. But if you're watching this, I think the chap asked me what hood I used for this build. And this was actually a 70 Impala hood, because the kit which I had didn't have a hood at all. It was just like, say, a rough builder. It had it was the body, the interior tub, and the chassis. That was it. That was all which I had for it. Didn't have any of the front end or anything. But yeah, I just used a 70 Impala hood. I just had a look through the parts, the parts bin, and that's kind of what fitted, and I could bend it up in shape. But you know, if you are watching that, this is one. This is a hood I've been saving this kit for a while. It's I think it's a Joam funny car, which somebody's put a stock front or stock chassis or quite altered stock chassis on there to fit the longer wheelbase and a stock interior tub. But I've been keeping this one. I've been meaning to cut it out and master the hood for the 1/25th kit, the AMC kit. So this is a good, if you can find one of these a sort of trade fair, or you know, if a car show or some model car show with where he's selling all the builders, you know, this is a really good start, and it's why I've been keeping this one. And I did think when Revell just re-released that Mustang, you heard all the hype when it was coming out, and they said they were bringing out a lot of versions of that. I'm really surprised. I really did think that they would bring out a base model, you know, depict it as a yellow and black car with the flat hood, and I think they would sell an absolute ton of them, but all I've seen is different versions of the Mach 1. So I don't know if that was their idea of different versions, but I think both AMC and Revell are missing a trick just by tooling a stock hood for this, because both AMC and Revell now have accurate wheels. They did both of them have done the 007 car, so they're both AMC or Round 2 and Revell have mastered some wheels, whereas when I was building this, I didn't have anything. This actually sat on baby moons for a long time. The back wheels are actually the chrome wheels, the optional wheels out of the AMC 63 Galaxy, the sort of flat chrome reverse style wheels. Painted 3 of them black on this one. And then it's only been recently, to be quite honest, poached some of the hubcaps out of the AMC 70 Ford Interceptor and put them on there. But yeah, I mean, like I say, both of them companies now have a 71 Mustang, and we're just lacking a flat hood, a base hood. And yeah, they'd probably have to do different decal sheets for the scripts and what have you. But yeah, I mean, I was really pleased with that, and like I say, it's not 100% this one, and like I say, what I started with wasn't, it wasn't the best kit, but like I say, it was just a bit of an experiment, really, to see what we could do. And I mean, it's a bit ropey, this one, to be quite fair, but it's certainly not the worst one I've seen, and I'm really happy. I was really happy with it at the time, and it's still, out of all the kits I've built since on the channel, this one and one we're going to see next, it's pretty much there's still some of my favourite builds of all time. Like, I mean, I was trying to get little details where they'd actually shot the windscreen and tried to put some bullet holes in the rear tail light panel and make it look something like, but yeah, I mean, that was my first attempt. And then very shortly, I mean, I think as soon as I finished that one, I bought a collection from the States of a load of old built kits. I was coming to the end of my day of importing as much stuff from the States as I used to. I think it was in the last few years. Like, I think I did it for a couple more years after, but in one of the lots was an original Mpc 71 Cyclone 2-door, and it was a complete. It was ready for the scrap pile. The roof had a big crack down. The crack continued down into the trunk area. Rear light panel was completely gone. And so I did start looking at it, and the Baker 111 71 Montego was it's right up there with one of my favourite movie cars of all time. I don't know why it appealed to me so much, but I think it's because you couldn't buy it in kit form. If they released the 71 Montego in kit form, I'm sure I'd buy a couple, but I think it's when you don't have something, you just really want something more. So I thought that was a good base, and I'd never done anything like this before, conversions or anything, to start off with. But I was studying the roof line, and the roof line is the roof line's actually pretty much identical between the Cyclone and the four-door. It was literally only the pillars, so I didn't have to move the rear screen or anything. So that made this conversion a little bit easier. But yeah, I'd learned my mistakes with the Mustang, and I really did want to make this one as nice as possible, to be quite honest with you. I wanted to get the dents more realistic, and like I say, this was built within, I think once I finished that one, this one was finished within a couple of months after, I got straight on it, and started off with a 4-door conversion, obviously, and, just kind of worked from there. And rear tail light panel, I just had to make do with what I got, and I think even the hubcaps, they aren't correct, I think they were just from the Joanne 68 Plymouth Fury. But yeah, I did study again, pause the video a million times, and just try to get the dents a little bit closer, and started using things like pliers to crimp up the plastic when when I was heating up, because all this is done with heat, and things can go really wrong quickly. And then I ended up using filler in it, and then kind of finessing the dents by by sanding shape, sort of carving shapes into the filler. But yeah, this one I was trying to make it look like it did on the real car, with the where it's kind of folding over the inner arches, and yeah, I did this side as well. Just did it so it looked like it was folding over the inner arch. And I think the only regret with this one is I didn't put drivers in it, because I think the ultimate plan, which would probably never happen now, like I thought I'd build more, and this is 10 years later, and I've not built another. But I mean, amassing a great load of kits for more gone in 60 seconds projects. A lot of obscure kits and kits I can do conversions on. But I think the damaged version appealed to me more. But I think I've got another 3 or 4 bodies from the stock car version they bought out. I think the difference is with the stock car version, it didn't have the fuel filler cap on, which I pretty much eliminated on this one anyway, to be quite honest, with all the work which has gone in it. But yeah, we had to modify the hood to a flat hood from a baseline kit, from a baseline model, and so that was a Cyclone hood. And it was, like I say, all this was my first attempts at doing any kind of conversions. I played around with little bits and pieces before, but not to the extent I tried on this one. And I was just using again what I found around the house. I didn't have a stock of sheet plastic, and I certainly didn't have evergreen or anything like that. It was literally, if I had a scrap of plastic which I found in another kit, I'd use that. Or but yeah, the front end tried to make that look a little bit more like a Montego. Made a lot easier because I was trying to do it in the last stages of the damage, and it already lost the majority of the grills, so I didn't have to mess around modifying the grill into a Montego grill. So doing the damaged version did help me out, because it stopped me having to do some more finicky work. But I do want to build another one of these undamaged. I want to do one. This is the Baker 111. I can't remember which the call name was for the light green car, which sort of hit the boat and sort of skid along on its side, and then ended up with a police car in the back of its roof. I wanted to do a light green one as well, but yeah, I mean, I was just so happy with them, and like I say, these are why they've remained today some of my favourite builds of all time, and they always will. It's why I've got them on the beginning of every video, and it's taken nearly 2 years to show these. To be quite, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why I've taken so long to show them, but I think I've just been trying to prove myself in other things, and I used the paint I used was again Halford's paint, and it was a voxel colour. I'm a little bit gutted because they've kind of discontinued a lot of the older colours, and this was a really perfect colour for like a 70s gold, which you saw them in. And I think I've got a little bit left of this colour, and obviously that's from the same tins. But yeah, I mean, I'll kind of show you a few. I think I've shown some of these on the channel before, but it just sort of demonstrates how I was doing it at the time. And another couple I was starting. I think this was probably about maybe 6 years ago. I started these. I was going to do a couple of the French Connection cars, the 72 Lemans. So I was doing a damaged version, and I mean, I'd like to say, I think I said when I showed these before, I'm really glad I didn't actually finish it, because my conversions back there were, again, as you can see when I mentioned, that I was just using anything I could find sort of help me start my shapes. I mean, this was nowhere near finished, but now I've got a big stock of plastic, like, but yeah, I always thought it was a kind of, it's a really tricky conversion, the 72 Lemans, because how much work goes into the front end, and again, with the damaged version, it's not too bad, but this was quite extensive damage compared to the other two, so there's a hell of a lot more filler in this, but yeah, I would just heat everything up, and then, as you can see, we're just starting putting the shapes in here and doing the sharper edges and what have you, and because I've never done the sort of using aluminium foil or copper foil, but I will want to try that in the future, like, but yeah, these are like I say, this is as far as I got with the damaged version for the French connection car. I was, like say, I usually like to build a couple at a time, so and I think I always regretted not, well, at the time, I didn't have a second Cyclone kit, so I couldn't build an undamaged version, and like I say, that body was so far gone, that was pretty much the best thing to do with it. But yeah, I was doing an undamaged one, and the tooling from the original 71, it lost so much of the shape around the definition of over the arches, so I was just trying to, this is really thin sheet styrene, like, and I was just starting to build out the definition. I've still got to do the underneath to sort of lip it up a little bit, but yeah, this is kind of as far as I got with this one. I'll probably rework a lot of this if I was to continue it, and which I will, because I really do want to finish these one day, like, the majority of the slog's done on them. The shape of the doors are right, I made sure the shape of the doors were kind of cock on to what they needed to be, and but the front end was always, I was really struggling with the front end, to be quite honest with you, and like I say, I don't think I've learned a lot from what I've been doing on YouTube, and teaching myself bit by bit, and so I think I'd be more confident doing the grills, which I think I was struggling with, and now we got things like the Revel Chrome spray and stuff like that, which kind of was my big issue, is I could probably fumble along and build something to fit in there, but then using foil around all the recesses and stuff, it would have been a bit of a nightmare, like, so. But yeah, I mean, like I say, that this is where my interest came from. It's all from the Gone in 60 Seconds, the Gone in 60 Seconds cars, and hence, and all the old movies like French Connection as well. Just all the car chases, classic car chases from back in day. I mean, Bullet is always going to be one of the best sort of car chases out there, but they were pretty much using Chargers and stuff like that, and even though they weren't sort of top of the range kind of things, they were Chargers. I got a bit bored with Chargers since the Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, whereas things like this, 4-doors and other base models were much more up my street. But I do want to, funnily enough, I do really like the Bullet Charger. The 68 was probably my favourite year, and it just looked right with it being more of a base model on the white wall tyres and stuff like that. Much more appealing than the top of the range kind of things. So I will build one of them. I've got a few figures for them as well, like, which I've had for many years. But yeah, for these ones, I was just really happy with them, especially this one. Like I say, this is probably one of my favourite. This stands up there with the USACC builds I've done so far. I'd always put these on on a level par for personal favourites. I think that Satellite I did was much more advanced, and as far as advanced as I got at the time for doing conversions, and I was really super pleased with that one. Whereas this is where I was just doing what I could on my own. Nobody really saw him or anything like that. And so I mean, I'm actually going to a show on Sunday. I think I might take these. Because I think the Mustang's instantly recognisable, and then if the people who recognise that Mustang have probably seen the original movie, like the Baker 111, which was, we've never seen a 71 Montego released in kit form, and certainly not a Ford horse. Still really proud of this kit, to be quite fair. And like I say, I was trying so hard without damage to get everything sort of looking right, and especially just using the kit plastic and body filler. That was my only tools I had to my hands at the time. So yeah, I think like I say, I don't know why it's taken so long to show these, to be quite honest with you, but I think it's because, well, they're just being stuck in a drawer like all the rest of them, and it's just a case of as and when I can get round to them, and as and when I can get round to them, which is pretty much now, where I've just dragged them out to see if they're kind of good enough to sit on a show table, and I think they still are. So yeah, I mean, really do hope. I mean, I don't know when I might put this. I might just put it out tonight, and it might be enough. If I put it out tonight, which will be Saturday night, it might be another week before you see anything from me. So hopefully that with the Porsche group build, another movie car just done. If you've not watched that video, please do go out and check out that final build on that one. Of a Porsche 935 from Cannonball Run. It's turned out quite nice. I mean, nothing spectacular, but I put that out last night, or it would have been Friday night if I don't release this video tonight. So yeah, I mean, again, I think what we'll do is we'll just sign off the video. Thank you everybody for continuing to watch these videos of my old builds. I mean, I think like I said, there's so many gaps in my building history that there's probably a lot more from my teens and early 20s than in sort of my 30s, and I mean, I'm 44 in a week's time or something. So there's certainly more from my younger years, and things like this is just where I kept dipping my toe back in, seeing if I could get the interest back into the actual building aspect of the hobby. And I've never left the hobby at all. I've always been in the hobby, whether but mostly from buying and selling, and just keeping the interest in the collecting side, and then the YouTube thing came along, where I've been really trying to do more building again, and getting my passion back for building, and seeing what I can do in my later years. And I'm still learning every single build we're doing. I learn something new, or I might have picked up some tricks from the Diecast boys or from other channels, and just seeing what I can do myself, or just teaching myself really on some of these things. Just seeing what I'm capable of and what's possible with plastic, so to speak. And like I say, these are a couple of experiments really for me, and I'm really hoping to do a few more. We've got like I say, we've got a couple of these to finish off, and I can't imagine that's going to be any time soon. They've been sat in a box for 6 or 7 years now in this state. So it might be another couple of years before I find time to do it, or it might be next year. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, what I thought I was going to be building this year. It kind of hasn't happened. You know, I ended up building quite a lot of different stuff, and now we're running out of year to finish stuff. So we'll just be doing the Street Machine Group build, the 32 Ford. I'm going to get a start on, and then we've obviously got the USAC to contend with, like, and I'll kind of let you know what I'm doing on that one, but it might be something very in the similar lines to this, like, so yeah, whatever you're doing for the rest of the weekend, again, thank you ever so much for watching the video. Hope you come back to sort of see some more, and yeah, we will just see you in the next video. Okay, see you, bye.